Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the show. Tonight, I am Brett the Jet in the booth here, bringing you the action from Worldwide Technology Speedway, also known as Gateway back in the day. And it's not just any ordinary night here at WWT. It is a cutoff race. That's right, cutoff race for round number 1 happens right here tonight. It is not miss racing action here, as I tell you what, a lot could happen here, and both race-wise and in the points. I mean, we're sending 4 drivers packing up, don't get a shot at a championship here, and with everyone besides Chris Hammett, last week's winner, who's already locked in the next round. I mean, a really bad race tonight could knock you out of that points and give up your season. So a lot going on here and a lot to race for, as we have 30 seconds left in practice. Then, of course, we head over to that 5-minute 2-lap qualifying, and then we head to the big show. As man, oh man, I'm even a little bit nervous coming into tonight, and I don't even get too nervous for my races. So we'll pull up the times here in practice right now. Max Dariel not fully locked in on points just yet. So the most wins in the regular season going to that 42 car, but right here sitting at the top of the charts. Then we have the 2 of Mike Trevarthen, another one that needs a solid run. And then rounding out the top 3 is the 86 of James Skelton. So we'll try and keep an eye on those trucks here in qualifying. See who is walking away with tonight's pole award. As qualifying kicking on off, it looks like the first car to the track going to be the 62 of Ethan Troutman. Kind of Mr. Consistent in the regular season, picking up all those points. They're looking for that first win. Troutman to the start finish line here. The 62 goes on the clock. We'll dive it down into turn number 1, and as you can kind of start to see, you'll definitely see it by race time, but these two ends drive very differently. It's kind of, if you just got done watching the All-Star race this weekend, it's kind of a longer version of North Wilkesboro, as you run kind of the middle to top side, really diamonding it in 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4. I think you want to be a little bit lower than we just saw the 62 Ethan Troutman. I think you really want to be wrapping that white painted line here tonight, as sometimes here in iRacing you can find a little bit of advantage that low on the track. So Troutman, of course, first car to take a time. First lap was a 33.008 for the 62 of Troutman. Troutman here on lap number 2, final lap here in qualifying. Looks like Richard Murdoch throwing up a time in the L1 of 33.72. Troutman across the stripe for the final time here. Does pick up some time. He's able to walk it down into the 32-second mark at a 32.89. Then we head to one of those fast cars in practice. Here's the 2 of Mike Trevarthen. Trevarthen here, first lap, good enough for a 32.90. Max Theriault, though, to the top on lap number 1. So Theriault right now with quick time with that 32.84. This guy right here, though, pretty quick first lap. We'll see if he can pick up even more time here on lap number 2. Through 3 and 4 for the final time for the number 2 machine. To the start finish line he will go. And does pick up enough. Mike Trevarthen there, right there. We saw it live, folks. Picking up the pole time. Can he hang on to it? One car just crossing the stripe here on the clock for the first time here is the number 8 machine of Zach Mitchell. Mitchell coming into tonight, sitting P number 7 in the points, only one spot above the cutoff line and 1 point as well. So Mitchell needing a good run here tonight to make sure he can make it on in, as those guys will have the most stress on their shoulders depending on how they run. You know, they really got to be, let's say, really aware all race long on all the situations going on in their own race, their own strategy, but also keeping an eye on the drivers around him. So Mitchell gonna have a handful when he gets to race time here in about a minute or so. As Mitchell here to the front stretch, he will complete qualifying. We'll see where he slots on in. Mitchell slower lap number 2, so he will stay P number 7 at the moment. Looks like Mac Terriel not able to quite answer, only good enough for a 32.80. Mike Trevarthen right now sitting with the quick time at a 32.75. So a really good lap from the number 2 machine. Looks like everyone else not electing to take a time here, so we will pop up the man with the quick time here tonight. It is Mike Trevarthen in the Can-Am number 2 machine. And Trevarthen, one of the guys on the outside looking in, currently sitting P number 10 in the points. And even back in 10th, Trevarthen only finds himself out 2 whole points. Here we go for the Celeratus Legal starting lineup. As you can see, a lot of gold here on the first page. Real quick, the gold numbers means they are in the playoffs. So you see the one white number of Josh Buckley. He sadly just missing the cut in the regular season. So we'll go on down. Starting with our pole sitter, it is the 2 of Mike Trevarthen. To his outside will be the 42 of Max Terriel. Then we head back to P number 3, sitting at the bottom of the playoff points. He needs a win. It is the 61 of Dalton Williamson. To his outside, rolling off P number 4 will be the 62 of Ethan Troutman. And then this guy on a roll with qualifying, him and the guy behind him. But first we gotta get to P number 5. That is the 81 of Ken Allen. And like I was saying before, this guy on a roll in qualifying as well. It is the 17 of Tim Combs. Rolling off P number 7 will be the 8 machine of Zach Mitchell. 8th going to the 6 of Chris Hammett. Hammett only car locked into next round at the moment. Rolling off P number 9 will be the 01 of Richard Murdoch. And rounding out the top 10 here for the starting lineup will be the 4 of Jeff Souza. 11th will be the 11 car of Sean Single. 12th going to the 13 of Josh Buckley. 13th going to the 38 machine of Brandon Feeney. 14th, and did not take a time, only playoff driver that did so, will be the 86 of James Skelton. 15th will go to the 98 of Ryan O'Danny. 16th is Rob Higgins in the 40. 17th going to Bob Higgins in the 30. And then Tony Strano in the number 3 machine will round out tonight's Celeratus starting lineup. So here we go. Lights are out around the speedway. You know what that means. We are getting ready to go racing. And look at this, folks. You can kind of see it in the broadcast. Looks a lot darker here in person. And I bet you it looks a lot darker in these race cars. A very heavy fog here tonight under the lights. I mean, it's so dark, the pace car has its lights on, so we'll have to see how these drivers navigate a little bit extra light into turn number 1, because they're going to have those headlights definitely shining on the racing surface. So here we go, pace car off and on pit road. The number 2 machine of Mike Trevarthen leading us down to the green flag. He jumps on it, folks. He's going through the gearbox, and we go green flag racing here at cutoff race for round number 1. The field will dive down into turn number 1, 2x2, most of the way through. Out in front, Trevarthen able to clear. There we go, we'll slot in line. One car way in the apron and off the track. That is the 8 of Zach Mitchell. Mitchell, I think, getting a little bit loose there off of turn number 2. Somehow saving that race truck. Let me correct myself before I start getting corrected there. As we see these guys head down the front stretch. Somehow, like I said, Mitchell able to save that car. As contact here. Single and Murdoch make contact into turn number 1. Skelton will get a piece of it, trying to avoid down in the grass. Single will slide to a stop here in the grass off of turn number 2, able to get that car rolling. But that right there, 3 playoff drivers already involved. As we'll take a quick look at the standings with the current running order with our caution there on lap number 2. So under our first yellow flag here tonight. And I believe these guys were just chatting about earlier this week about how they have gone a long time without that yellow flag. And tonight here, kicking it off early. Good to know, Roger. Thanks for the little tidbit there. I guess last week on Thursday in the short track Scrambler series, the number 11 machine of Sean Single picking up the win with an SK. Was it SK or Tour mod, Roger? That's what we need to know, but at least a modified at New Hampshire. So trying to keep that momentum rolling here, and doesn't look like tonight rolling as nicely for the 11. As interesting, we see a few takers down on pit road. Maybe a little bit of a fuel strategy race here by the end of it. We'll keep an eye on Souza here, see if it's maybe just gas and go for the 4, or if he takes some of those limited sets of tires this series has. Okay, good to know, Roger, with the Tour and O'Shaughnessy Single. Oh, interesting. I don't know if we'll stick with it here, but so far not looking the best for Single here tonight, as still down in his pit box trying to get some repairs done. I think maybe a little bit of damage to that right front nose, as we'll wait to see him get rolling. But Single will get back rolling. We'll go check out a replay here, see what started this in a little bit slower fashion. We'll take out the old slow-mo and see what happened to the number 11 here into turn number 1. So it looks like, maybe Murdoch didn't realize the 17 was going to check up as much of as he did. That's the 17 of Tim Combs. Murdoch tries to make evasive maneuver, Single down there. So actually, yeah, I think Single definitely getting some contact on both corners of that race truck, but I don't believe anywhere where he could go. Let's try and ride on board with the 11. And yeah, just a tough thing right at the start, trying to judge everyone's pace and whatnot. As here we go, folks, back to live action here as lights out around the speedway. We're going to try to go back to green flag racing. And maybe if we get a lot of yellows, I'll maybe blame it on this, but you got to wonder, how does the visibility affect these drivers here tonight, as That could be a question asked later on if we do get a handful of these yellows. But so far, only one here tonight happening on lap number 2 as we try and go back here. Front row still the same. Trevartha and Theriault making up the front row. Trevartha once again wait until that. I believe they have a zone here as Trevartha away with a great start, already going to be clear of the field by the time they get to turn number 1. So now Troutman and Theriault side by side for P number 2. They will drag race down the backstretch, advantage to the 42 as Dalton Williamson maybe just couldn't quite fill up the gap there to try and get to the outside of Troutman. Right behind them is the 81 of Ken Allen. Then last week's winner, Chris Hammett, currently running in the 6th spot as the 6th car. A little side by side here as Souza definitely down only with fuel here tonight. So trying to have a little bit extra in the tank as Souza already back up into the top 10 here. Then comes the 38 machine of Brandon Feeney. As wow, Feeney having a little bit of scare this weekend. I guess he was the crew member that in the NASCAR Canadian Series, a car on the jack stands fell on. I guess another car rolled away and hit the car he was under on the stands, and he was under kind of the sway bar and wow, motor radiator. I guess just missed his head, but using his arm to kind of hold up. Man, that is some scary stuff there for Feeney this week, and definitely a big scare there. But Feeney, a trooper here, out behind the wheel, currently running in that 12th position. I guess not too injured, just extremely sore and some cuts on his arms. But yeah, like he said, the best of a worst case scenario. Wow. As we now see the 38 machine of Feeney trying to get to the inside of Single. So Single involved with probably the most damage there in that first wreck. Trying to make his way up through the field up to now P number 11. Out in front though, Mike Trevartha trying to open up to a half-second advantage. Hasn't quite got that gap over P number 2 runner Max Theriault. Then it comes Dalton Williamson, Ethan Troutman, and Ken Allen. And that top 5 staying exactly the same from how they qualified. So all these guys kind of running the same exact pace here. It looks like kind of going 80% here all night long. I don't think I really see one truck saving versus another, so that's why I said I think these drivers going to push the limit about 80% all night long. As ooh, right there, almost some door high-fiving between the 13 of Buckley and the 11 of Single. Those two got very close on the exit of the last corner. That time a little bit more gap, but now right behind them, a big time pack forming up. That having the 98 machine of O'Danny as well as the 86 of James Skelton. So those trucks trying to figure out what line they want to try and get around these guys. Once again, very close that time with Buckley and Skelton, as it looks like Single able to get out by himself. So top 10 kind of running in their own pack, still spread out a good bit, but then pack number 2, definitely those guys is out in front. Battle for the race lead here. Max Theriault down low, Mike Trevartha up top. And off of turn number 4 here, a 42 machine gonna lead the first lap of the night for that car. Also Dalton Williamson catching those front runners, so we may have Williamson in the mix here in just a moment. Here back in P number 8, we have Jeff Souza and Richard Murdoch side by side here, as Murdoch will get passed for that 8th position. Souza, best truck that pitted on that first yellow. Souza not taking any tires though, just filling it up with a little extra race fuel. Now field single filed on out here for the moment. Just as I say that, here goes Skelton on single. Skelton down low, single up top. Both of these trucks involved in that first yellow. As Skelton will sail it on there deep, left that truck drift on up at the apex, and then able to clear, almost gets a piece of the wall there off of turn number 2, and that is what these drivers are going to have to start fighting here in just a few laps as this right front continues to wear, is getting that car to turn, let's say, getting that car to rotate off the corner without burning off that right front, or then worst case scenario having to break that traction and then sending you into the outside wall, because these NASCAR trucks are, let's say, powered so little compared to the other cars that they are really affected by damage, even worse than the Xfinity cars. Further on back, Tim Combs getting around the 01 machine of Richard Murdoch, and then Zach Mitchell sitting in the mix as well. As wow, Murdoch will drive it in there deep, get to the inside of the 17 machine. They will go door to door here once again. Wow, power move by Murdoch, as he was somehow able to get that car to stick there in 3 and 4. Murdoch with the shorter distance around 1 and 2, able to keep it down, and Murdoch will get back the A spot here tonight. Now Combs under fire from Mitchell. Mitchell will sail it in there super deep. Wow, somehow able to make it stick and clear in just the corner. Now Skelton and Single have joined in this mix. So Combs maybe got a piece of that backstretch wall, or something happened to that 17, but he is dropping like a rock, like he had some sort of big time issue on that 17. You can see these drivers get closer and closer to that wall off at turn number 2, really trying to starting to flirt big time with disaster here, as we had a pass for second. Dalton Williamson up into P number 2, but has a 2-second gap now to Max Terriel. So Terriel definitely checking out here in front. Now Ethan Troutman starting to catch the 2 machines, so it looks like Trevarthen maybe struggling with the long run pace here, as we have already completed 20 laps here tonight of the 100. And then of course, high stakes racing here tonight, as it is the cutoff race for round number 1. And what that means, we are sending the bottom 5 of the top 13 that made it to the playoffs. So 5 drivers walking away tonight without any chance of a championship. And anyone could be affected, you know, even a Max Terriel, if he has somehow a super bad night, finishes dead last, and the right people finish in the right spots, he could even not be safe, and he sits MVP number 3 in the standings. That is how close and how much pressure the drivers have on their shoulders coming into tonight. Oh man, big time hit for the 17 machine of Tim Combs. Combs absolutely clobbered that wall there off that corner. We'll see the 17 probably continue to drop on back, as now he has heavy damage to that race truck. And that is a bummer. Combs coming into this playoffs as a big time underdog. Same with the 38 of Feeney. And currently they, at least for Combs, his night's slipping away here early as heavy damage just before the quarter mark here tonight. Oh, one car in the wall there off of turn number 2. I was going to say, I saw this purple car flirting with it a lap or 2 ago. He was starting to really drift it on out, and that time by got a piece of the wall there. So we'll keep an eye on Sean Single's pace, see what a kind of lighter slap does to the car, but overall, it's all about those lap times from here on out until this first green flag pit stop. As Single that time by still pretty close to the right pace, so we'll have to see if these drivers are splitting this into force. I think we'll see a busy pit road right around now or within a couple laps as we see the 81 of Ken Allen dive down pit road. And here tonight at Worldwide Technology, hopefully all these drivers practice pit road entry, because you do have to use this access road. It's wow, look at the time Richard Murdoch made up going down pit road. He was absolutely flying on that access road and made up a ton of time, as that would be the big indicator if people are pitting here tonight. You have to take that access road or else you get a black flag. So we'll have to see who continues to dive on down right there. A good chunk, splitting on 25, going to go 25, 50, 75 to the end. As if drivers can stretch it, you know, another 5 laps or so, you could almost split it up into thirds. So we'll have to see if that is a strategy that drivers will try here tonight, as we see the 86 go around the 11 of Singles. So that time by, Singles still on pace with trucks around him, as we see Hammett dive down to that access road. So Hammett down here on 27. Don Williamson running in that second position, but has Mike Trevarthen pushing that 61 machine there down that front stretch. These 3 cars have clumped on up here right before their green flag pit stop. That tells me that, you know, if you can run it in long run pace, you probably will be a little bit better. But even if you push like we saw the 2 of Mike Trevarthen did starting on the pole, he has kind of hung around with these other trucks. So it shows that you can push here early in the run and still not lose a ton of track time, let's say, versus a Darlington or Dover, as we see 61 of Williamson make kind of a late dive to the access road. How well will these trucks roll? As our race leader down on pit road, he will safely navigate on down. Williamson and Trevarthen will enter nose to tail. Looks like only those 3 trucks down on pit road that time. So I'd have to think the rest of these guys out here gonna try and make it as close to they can to lap number 30. As Ethan Troutman last time by picking up a lap lead here tonight in the 62. Troutman though down on pit road here on lap 30. That leaves the guys like Souza, Mitchell, Skelton, all have come down pit road once on that first yellow. Most of these guys taking fuel. Some drivers, I believe, did take some tires, but these guys trying to push as far as they can. These guys have to get around lap, I want to say 37 to make it to the end. So these guys going to be slower, but if they can avoid a whole extra pit stop, we may see Souza win with another alternate strategy race. This time by, we see the 8 and the 11 down on the access road. Ethan Troutman away, looks like well and good, so looks like no drivers picking up any sort of pit road penalties, which is pretty impressive because as you can see, you have a lot of wheel keeping it on that access road, and then you have to slam on the binders at the last second. As now we see Souza and Skelton both dive it on the access road, so these guys won't even make it to that mark. So I believe these guys still not good on that fuel window. Ryan O'Danny also down on pit road. Then it hands over the race lead to the Liquid Molly 38 machine of Brandon Feeney. Feeney, of course, this last weekend, a scary incident. And out here racing on the Thursday night, though, leading the way here in the pit cycle, able to get to 33. That's at least closer, but I still think they can't make it to the end. We'll have to wait and see. As once it all cycles out, it looks like Max Theriault with a blistering time on that access road. He has opened up a big gap to the rest of the cars behind him. Ken Allen with that short pit able to make up some time, but here comes Dalton Williamson and company. So we see Williamson duck out of line there. Trevarthen already down on the inside lane. Up top, Ken Allen and Richard Murdoch. As Allen almost into the wall there. Troutman had to make big time evasive maneuvers all the way almost to the grass. So Troutman will roll the inside here on Murdoch. Right behind those two is the 6 of Chris Hammett. Through the corner, Troutman having the advantage, but these long straightaways giving the advantage to the outside car. That right now being the 01 of Murdoch. With that time by in 3 and 4, Troutman able to get on the gas a little bit sooner, and you see that car jump about a car length ahead just with that throttle, and here comes Chris Hammett now. Those two continue to be side by side. Now here comes Zach Mitchell to join on in. To go high above the front stretch grandstands up to the spotter stand here and get a view at Worldwide Technologies Raceway. Mitchell trying to get that car to turn under the 01, able to get the job done, able to get the car to the inside. Should be able to make it stick here in 3 and 4. Yes, he does. Mitchell on the newest rubber in this group. Ken Allen on the oldest tires up here in the top 10. He is going to now have to try and hold off a hard charging 6 of Hammett. Now make it the 8 of Mitchell, as Hammett will say, go on through, Zach. I'll let you cut the path and I'll follow in your footsteps. As Hammett will give Mitchell a bump draft down the front straightaway. Mitchell doesn't quite have the run, but he has the tires to cut on down at the apex, get to the inside of Allen here down the backstretch. You can definitely tell who has newer tires. You can still see that truck really kind of turning nice at the apex, even with driving it in that deep as the 8 is doing right now. Now here comes Hammett to the inside, and another guy on very fresh rubber is the 4 Souza. Souza actually 1 lap newer tires than Zach Mitchell. So these guys making up some good time, but have about 10 or so laps to try and get as much advantage as they can, because then we'll be heading to our second round of pit stops. Sean Single here involved in yellow number 1 up into the top 10 here. He gets the A spot from Ken Allen. Here comes James Skelton now trying to do the same. Murdoch trying to make a move on Allen, not able to do it there, as we see now the 11 of Single go around the 6 of Hammett. Single and Skelton also on some fresh rubber. I should say fresher rubber, as it's already been about 10 laps since they have last been down pit road. Up in front though, Max Ariel checking out to an 8-second advantage, and we're not even halfway done with the race yet here. Don Williamson hanging on to second. Mike Trevarthen though having some good pace in kind of run number 2 here, and he is hanging right with the 61. Troutman sits a little bit further back in that 4th position, and then Zach Mitchell even further back sitting in 5th. Mitchell and Souza on about 3 lap fresher tires than the cars in front of him. So even though it may not sound like a lot here, especially with these trucks, that right front just can be a cheese grater, let's say, and really disintegrate those tires. So those trucks definitely handling really well, and they're about, I want to say, 3 to 4 tenths of a second faster than those cars in front, besides the 42 of Theriault. Ariel pretty much in his own zip code already here tonight. As I haven't done it yet at this track, but I really want to check it out, so I'm thinking, oh, as maybe we get a battle. All right, we've fallen line, so we'll keep it on this, as here we go. Mike Trevarthen says enough riding on around. He will clear Williamson in one corner there. Wow, what a move by Trevarthen, able to shut the door on the 61 of Dalton Williamson. Now here comes Ethan Troutman. Troutman with 1 lap advantage tires over the cars he's battling with. As longer these guys stay side by side, the more and more Zach Mitchell, Jeffrey Souza catch these trucks. As Troutman able to clear, heading down the backstretch here. As now Mitchell at the back tailgate of the 61. Mitchell will once again get that 8 truck to turn beautifully and drive right around the 61 of Williamson, who a little bit of a connection issue there for the 61. Not sure what is going on. Looks like he will be rolling at the moment, at least. As for the moment, these guys sorted out, but I think Zach Mitchell here are going to try and drive around the 2 sooner than later. As for the likes of, the 2, as well as our race leader, Max Theriault, is probably getting pretty close to pit stop time here in about 5 or so laps. as old man Troutman gets a piece of the wall there. Our second place runner here, the mistakes he does not need to be making here is getting that wall, and he got that there. We got to wonder how will this affect the truck, because we see 17 of Tim Combs bringing that truck pit side. Looks like Josh Buckley as well out of tonight's race. As we see the 61 of Williamson down on pit road. Definitely has some damage to the truck. Looks like he will be another one out. So Combs and Williamson out of the playoffs. That already takes out 2. We still have 3 more cars to try and find out who will not move on. As we took a look at our race leader, Max Theriault, coming up to an 11-second advantage over P number 2, but this time by at the stripe, the 42 will see the cross flags halfway down, halfway home, as we see Trevarthen losing some track position here, as both Mitchell and Souza getting around that 2 truck. Now Skelton and Single right there. Wow, Skelton able to fit a truck up top. Here comes Single to make it 3 wide. 3 wide here into turn number 2. It looks like Skelton will drive it in there deep, make sure no one can get to his quarter panel, as Single will drive around the inside. So I'm surprised we didn't see Trevarthen down pit road that time, but for sure this time I believe we'll see the 2 down on pit road after losing that track position. So it looks like Ken Allen and Richard Murdoch both down on pit road here on lap 50. Murdoch and Allen both in the points here, so they need themselves a really good finish, because pretty much the top 7 all racing for those spots. I just say top 7 because Chris Hammett already locked in the next round. As this time by, we see the 2 of Mike Trevarthen down on pit road here. Like I said, I knew we would see him down soon. Seeing the pace deficit that he was having to those trucks around him, these 5 trucks that stayed on out. Now the oldest tires in the group going to the 62 of Troutman. Troutman will get passed by Mitchell and Souza on the same lap, so I have a feeling we'll be seeing the 62 down on pit road probably this lap. Yeah, if I'm the race leader, Max Theriault, I'm staying out as long as I can here, having great pace and saying, yeah, I can stay on out, push this fuel, go till it's absolutely empty in the tank, and then come on down and get maybe even some tire advantage over the cars behind. So as wow, we see Troutman stay out yet another lap here on 55. Looks like the 3 machine of Tony Strano down on pit road here. Like I said, we're keeping an eye on these kind of 5 trucks, as they are pretty nose to tail here. Definitely spread on out, I should say spreading on out, as they continue to find the pace. But just as I say that, Skelton to the inside of Troutman. Skelton making that inside line work, still has the advantage on tires. Whoa, Single big time out of sorts there off of turn number 2. I don't know if he made contact with Troutman, but definitely had to yank that car and got it way upset. Somehow able to save that race car with probably those quick hands. As we see our race leader, Max Theriault, down on pit road. That'll hand over the race lead to the 8 of Mitchell here. Mitchell, one of those drivers needing a good night here just above the cut line, and right now having just that. Souza sits a little safer. Souza coming into tonight is sitting P number 5 in the points. James Skelton second in points. But then Sean Single being the cutoff truck. He is another driver that needs a really good night. Doesn't need a really, really good night. As this time by, we see the 62 of Ethan Troutman down on pit road. So these guys last down in a window from lap 31 to 62. So have to, if I had to guess, we'll see trucks down from the range of 60 to 63, let's say. As no, we see some down even sooner here on 58. Zach Mitchell will give up the lead here. That'll hand it over to the 4 of Souza. Looks like the 11 of Single also diving down onto pit road. So that just leaves 3 cars out on track with the old tires, that being the 4 Souza, the 86 of Skelton, and then the 98 of Ryan O'Danny. As we see Skelton dive down onto pit road. Looks like the same with the 98 of O'Danny. As only truck that has not pitted yet here tonight is the 4 Machino Jeffrey Souza. He picked up the strategy win, I believe, at Pocono. Maybe gonna try to do it again. As Souza big time sideways. Wow, what a save. Souza having to dirt track that number 4 truck on the access road there, and man, somehow keeps it underneath him with those worn tires. Sorry, there was one other truck that had not pitted yet, that being this truck right here, the 38 machine of Brandon Feeney. Feeney picks up another lap lead here tonight, but Max Theriault right on his back bumper. Theriault already down on pit road. We'll see the advantage on tires. Oh, almost contact there as, whew. That was a close one. As Theriault will go on by. So Souza will roll onto the racing surface, but once again see a lot of trucks out in front of him. Souza gonna have the pace of pretty much no one else out on track. As since it's now after the halfway point, I'm going to take a break from blabbing at you folks. I'm going to go let the cars do the talking. That's right, a little turn 3, turn it up from Worldwide Technology Raceway. Man, you gotta love a little turn it up. Even in the trucks, they can still sound pretty healthy. As we take a look at some cars closing up on each other. Jeffrey Souza making the move on Chris Hammett. So Souza came out of pit road all the way back in P number 11. Has already made it up to P number 7. Sean Single was starting to close the gap on Ethan Troutman for a top 5 spot, but at least last time I have leveled on off here on the pace side of things. Looks like first car 1 lap down will be the 38 machine of Brandon Feeney. Feeney hoping that Strano stays on the lead lap, at least if another yellow does happen, as that will keep Feeney's playoffs hope alive a little bit longer here. Like I said, this is the wild card race. It could take any of these guys up in this top 10, let's say. They get spun, their night's done, and they are out of the points to any of those drivers besides the 6 machine of Chris Hammond. So Single able to get to the left rear quarter panel there on entry. Can he do it on exit though, because he knows it's go time? He has Jeffrey Souza with a big run. Right on board with Jeffrey Souza. And you can hear there, folks, these drivers shifting gears here tonight, grabbing third to get these trucks to rotate and to put down some extra power, as Souza won't be able to clear the pass on Single, but able to get the nose down into turn number 3. These kind of 3 though, whoa, Souza big time side was there. I don't know if he was pushed on the apron there from Single or just got the rumble strip, but Souza, another dirt track save here tonight. But what I was trying to say was these guys got to be aware of who they're racing around. These guys kind of all on the same strategy with those fresher tires, so they don't really want to use up their tires right now battling each other, because they need to be focused on catching those cars in front. But you can hear shifting both ends of the speedway, so yet another thing these drivers are having to do here tonight. So those 3 trucks about 0.3 of a second faster than this group in front, being led by James Skelton. Then the 38 Brandon Feeney, the first car 1 lap down there. Then Zach Mitchell has gone around Mike Trevarthen for 3rd. That, of course, then moves Mike Trevarthen to 4th, Ethan Troutman 5th. But like I said, these 3 cars having to kind of work together here at the moment. As Single looking to the inside of Troutman, will get the nose there. So Troutman and Single going to be a little bit of a drag race down the backstretch, as, oh, contact there. They will lean on each other just a little bit. Single will try and drive it in there deep. Clear Troutman won't be able to do it. Here comes Jeffrey Souza trying to fill in that hole. So Souza able to get to the inside of Troutman there. So Troutman at this point has to just keep the pace of these 2 trucks in front of him. As Feeney able to get in front of these trucks now. Zach Mitchell closing up to the back bumper of James Skelton. Battle for P number 2 here. Both of these guys, at least on the right side of the cutoff, coming into tonight, so they have to make sure, you know, no big mistakes. Don't hit that wall. Don't hit that other truck. They should be sitting all right, but have to navigate all of that on top of the points battle, shifting, trying to drive this truck to the limit. Oh yeah, and also keep pretty good pace so that the 11-4 and the 62 don't catch you by the time of this last green flag pit stop here at the moment. So here we go. From here on out, any of these drivers can make it to the end. Will we see any sort of big time strategy, a way undercut here? Or do we see these drivers push to that normal pit stop mark? Which would be right around lap 80. So from here on out, it comes all down to strategy. What is the crew chief and yourself saying? As you see Brandon Feeney coming off of pit road, he was the first down. That is good to the end. Mitchell here to the inside of Skelton off at turn number 4. Drag race to the start finish line for P number 2. Mitchell with a bumper advantage here. Looks like Skelton will mostly let the 8 on by, as now we have clicked on over to the countdown clock. That's right, we are in the late stages of the race. 25 and soon to be 24 to go. There we go. So Mitchell up into P number 2, Skelton hanging on to 3rd. Both those cars pitted around the same time. Best tires out on the speedway here in the top 10 being the Ford machine of Souza, who will get around Sean Single for 4th. So now what kind of pace can Souza have to catch the next 2 in front of him? Ken Allen, Tony Strano both down on pit road, taking some strategy, pitting early, trying to undercut and gain some time on the trucks around them. As we see Brandon Feeney go on by, Feeney gonna have to try and make up at least 1 lap under these green flag conditions. As Mitchell almost gets a piece of the wall, maybe he did, I don't know, it was definitely close. That is something you cannot afford to do if you are anywhere in this top 5 at this point in the race. But I tell you what, it is so easy to do at this point. You're really worried about lap times, keeping that pace, also keeping this truck underneath you, as well as keeping it off the wall, because that wall could be detrimental to a race. As we see now Mike Trevarthen down on pit road. So Trevarthen, I believe, last down right around that 55 mark, if not, I believe 53. So something in that mark. So Trevarthen down for the final time, and I'm surprised we haven't seen more takers on the big time strategy call, but as we see James Skelton catching Zach Mitchell for that 2nd position, and Jeffrey Souza. Souza last time by, not too much faster than the trucks around him, so while they're running by themselves, everyone pretty level. With Mitchell and Skelton able to push in that 2nd stint, and I tell you what, they are sitting pretty well at the moment because of it. 20 laps here left in the books. Chris Hammett, Ryan O'Danny down on pit road for their final times. So 15 cars still out here tonight turning laps. Here we go, first taker on the alternate strategy, Skelton, and he brings along Souza. Wow, and Single. I am surprised to see Souza down on pit road here. Had the best tires out of all those trucks, but I bet you a lot what it came down to was how much traffic are you seeing out in front of you. So Max Theriault continues to lead the way here with now 18 to go at the stripe. These guys, pretty much the last 3 that have not pitted, are Theriault, Mitchell, and Troutman. Here we go. We see our race leader, Max Theriot, down on the access road here. Whoa. Looks like he is up to speed. It looked like with the, I guess, the angles there with Souza rolling off of pit road there. It looked a little funny, but this will hand over the race lead now to the 8 of Zach Mitchell. Mitchell last down on 58. Ethan Troutman will dive down onto pit road this time. So that just leaves Zach Mitchell, only truck that has not seen pit road yet. Dream scenario for the 8 would be a yellow flag right now. Mitchell will dive on down to the access road here. It looks like when it files out, Max Theriot takes over the point. Then it is James Skelton in second with Jeffrey Souza hot on his tail. And Mike Trevarthen with that early pit stop jumps up to P number 5. Can he hang on to that spot for 15 laps? These guys that maybe pit a little bit later might be kind of running out of time as we see Mitchell finally rolling from the pit box, but Skelton will go on by Souza as well. Mitchell and Trevarthen will be very close on pit exit here. Actually, I guess a little bit less close than I thought, as that access road for exiting pits, I guess, is a lot shorter distance around than the racetrack here tonight. So Mitchell sits about 2 seconds back from James Skelton. Will a 3-lap tire advantage be worth it? This will definitely help the case. So if these two start battling, Souza up into P number 2, Skelton will slide to P number 3 as, oh, Mitchell will get the wall there off of turn number 2. That is not what he needs to do to try and run the pace to catch the cars in front of him. Everyone spread on out for the most part, but we got a battle for a top 10 finish here. Rob Higgins and Ryan O'Danny. Higgins in the Kubota 40 machine. Looks like Higgins will get past there, and I believe we'll see Rob down pit road one more time, as last time he was down was on lap 60. So Danny will get back into the top 10 here. As with 13 to go, let's run down our racing order here. Running in the first position is Max Theriot. Then in second, it is Jeffrey Souza. Third going to James Skelton. Zach Mitchell is fourth. Fifth being Mike Trevarthen. Sixth is Sean Single. Seventh, Ethan Troutman. Eighth is Chris Hammett. Ninth, Ken Allen. Ryan O'Danny rounding out the top 10. 11th, Rob Higgins. Then Richard Murdoch, 12th. 13th, Tony Strano. 14th, Brandon Feeney. 15th, Bob Higgins. And then the driver is currently still not on out here. Josh Buckley. I believe Buckley is actually out here, so Josh Buckley running in 16th, 17th, Williamson, and 18th, Tim Combs. Williamson and Combs playoffs hopes out the door here. And it's not looking the best for Brandon Feeney. Currently 1 lap down and not the lucky dog. He is going to hope for at least 2 yellows, which is going to be a kind of a tall order as everyone spread on out. Richard Murdoch came into tonight above the cut line. Was sitting P number 9th, but with 11th here, it is going to be very close. Ken Allenson below the cut line, and the drivers that he needs to beat still in front of the 81. He might not be sitting in a good spot here with 10 to go. Those guys getting desperate, but cannot do too much as everyone spread out by at least a second or so to the trucks around him. Last time by for the 42, seeing 2 open palms from the flag man. 10 laps to go. Now we head to single digits as we see him go around that wounded 13 machine. That is that extensive pit road time he did sit on to try and get some damage repaired to the 13. Zach Mitchell running down James Skelton. Last time by, actually, yeah, sorry. Mitchell was actually just a little slower. So we'll keep an eye on this pace here. Before we finish tonight's race, we got to give a quick shout out to the sponsors here in this series making season number 17 happen. That is Checkered Flag Auto Supplies, Celeratus Legal, the Feeney Call. Geez. It's been a long night here at Gateway. You know, a little jet lag from the jet, but we will power through here, as that was the Feeney Call. And then, of course, Claws Up Charters with the post-race show. Further on back here, battle between Trevarthen and Single. Trevarthen needs a really good finish, so he's gonna race his butt off here because he needs every point he can get. He sits on the outside looking in. Single is the cutoff mark, so if there's any truck that the 2 needs to be, it is the 11 that is going around him. So Single will take over that P number 5 spot here, as we see Zach Mitchell closing up to that back bumper of the 86. Both of these guys in at the moment, so they don't need to do anything too crazy with racing each other. It just pretty much comes down to who wants to talk to me. I should say, who wants to talk to me more at the end of the night, because of the battle for a podium spot. That time by at the stripe, we see 1 open palm left. That's right, 5 laps to go here for the cutoff race of round number 1. Sending 5 drivers home here after tonight. We already know 2 of them here with 4 to go. And at the moment, unless anything really changes, it is pretty much those last 5 gold numbers you see will be those 5 drivers eliminated. This time by at the stripe for the 42 machine, we see 3 laps to go. I know we were just looking at the 86 car, but one thing I haven't mentioned for him tonight, he is the biggest mover, up 11 spots from where he started. Remember, Skelton, only driver of the playoff guys that did not take a lap time. Even without that, still running in P number 3. As here we go, we see a battle here. Trevarthen, Troutman side by side at the stripe though. Max Theriot will see popsicle sticks up in the air. 2 laps to go for the race leader as Troutman, Trevarthen go door to door here. Both of these guys, Trevarthen not in the playoffs here, but I believe has enough points over Richard Murdoch to sneak his way in, but we will have to wait and see. But here at the front stretch, we see the white flag. You know what that means. It's the Feeney Call. 1 lap to go. Max Theriot trying to pick up another win. This would be win number 6 of the season. Down the backstretch, he'll go for the final time as Troutman does not get around Trevarthen. These two going to be battling out here on the final lap. But here real quick off of turn number 4, Max Dariel will pick up win number 6 of the season and lock himself into the round of 8. Here we go, one final attempt. Troutman will drive it in there deep, can't quite get it to stick. Able to jump on the loud pedal, drive it down low, drag race off of turn number 4. Trevarthen will get turned at the start finish line, but hang on to P number 6. Wow. As man, Troutman and Trevarthen get together there to the start finish line. Fireworks going off in the background, fireworks going off on track. As man, oh man. Out in front though, he will make his way to the start finish line and burn it down for the first time in the playoffs, but 6th time here this season. Looks like Max Ariel will do a little bit of a parade lap, wave to the fans here that have stuck it out on a kind of a damp night here at Worldwide Technology Raceway. But here tonight, awesome racing from these drivers. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it at home. That was some great stuff. Only one yellow flag, and man, great racing throughout the field. A lot of great strategy. But this guy gets the job done once again. The 42 machine of Max Dariel. We will head on down and go to commercial on the other side. Don't go anywhere, folks. It is the Claws Up Charters post-race show.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
All right, folks, welcome to the Claws Up Charters post-race show. Here tonight, we'll be dialing up first our third place finisher, that being the 86 machine of James Skelton. James, you got a copy. It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
Got a copy.
All righty, man. Coming away home tonight with a third place. You advanced to the round of 8. You came into tonight, though, sitting in a pretty good spot, P number 2, but, I mean, anything could have happened. Tell us about your race and the pressure here tonight.
Yeah, Brett, it was pretty eventful for me. I didn't get any practice this week. I missed the practice race yesterday, so I came into it, cold. I found something towards the end of practice, felt pretty good, and go out and qualify and hit the wall both times. So I had to start close to the rear, and then when that first little mayhem happened on I think lap 1, lap 2, I got about 20 seconds of damage in it. So I had to come and get that, fixed up. And then it was just, trying to pick off one car at a time. But, just knowing where I was in the points, that I didn't have to win the race. I just needed to, top 5 it, probably top 10, and, I'd be moving on.
Yeah, good to know about qualifying there. Wasn't sure if you did it voluntarily or not to start in the back, so sounds like you didn't there, but heck of a job, of course, tonight. Biggest mover as well. And yeah, what was the key kind of getting around those cars? I mean, luckily and kind of not luckily involved in that first yellow, able to stay out longer on that first end. It seemed like that long run pace was where it was at.
Yeah, for sure. Gateway or Worldwide Technology's always been a pretty good track to me. Max was in a completely different stratosphere. I don't know what his strategy was. I don't know if he took 2 every single time, but I noticed when he had such a big delta on us after that pit stop, my teammate Richard's like, I think Max took 2. And then I finally, found him on my relative. I had to do a lot of scrolling, and he was 11 seconds up on the field. So I'm like, he had to take 2. So I practiced it just for a few laps in practice and rolled the dice on it. And I think it paid off. I don't know what the other cars around me were doing. But, 3rd place finish, I'll definitely take it.
Yeah, for sure. So what stops then did you take 2 tires at?
So I did four tires on the first stop. And I accidentally, when I came down to top off after that first caution, I accidentally took a set of rights. That I would have been screwed if there was a late race caution because I had no more sets of rights. So I went 4, 2, and 2 is what I did.
Okay, good to know. Well, James, like we talked about before, locked yourself into the round of 8. How you feeling there? Of course, have the next gen cars at Richmond, you picking up a win with the next gen cars, and then we head to the Gen 4 at Vegas. Of course, very driver oriented there with the Gen 4 cars.
Yeah, both tracks. I'm definitely looking forward to. I got to find time to actually, put some time in during the week. As it gets crunch time, I can't afford to, make a mental error, qualifying. You just don't know if you can make your way, through the pack. So I'll definitely put the time in. I really like the next gen and the Gen 4 on both tracks. Probably Vegas a little bit more than Richmond, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. As I kind of called tonight kind of the craziest race of the season. If one car got in a wreck, let's say, or something crazy happened to a driver and they're out of the points. But the next cutoff race at Vegas, I think, will definitely be a lot tougher, as you guys were all very close. So I think, what's the game plan from here on out for the next 2 races?
Yeah, just putting the time in, and then even in I don't have to win the race or win a race to to advance. So it's just being smart on the short track at Richmond. Don't do put yourself in a bad spot. And then really at Vegas, it'll probably be tire management with just the pace of that car. Maybe we can run a few different lines. Richard and I did a official race. I think we were Chicagoland in the next gen, and you can run all over the place. You can run the bottom, the middle, the top, and it was a ton of fun. So maybe that track we can kind of run all over the place.
Yeah, that would be awesome to see. Well, James, once again, congrats on the 3rd place finish here tonight. I'm going to go hand over the mic to you and thank who you got to thank to a good finish here, and then, of course, making it to the next round.
Yeah, for sure. First off, I want to thank you, Jet, for everything you do with Turn 3. I'll definitely check out the broadcast this evening. I want to thank Richard. I think he had a pretty tough night. I don't know if he made it in or not, but he's my best friend. He's a good guy, and then all the fans that were watching, all of our sponsors. Got to give a shout out to Max. He was in the class of his own tonight. Souza, he had a good finish. He passed a lot of cars. And then, all the drivers. We had one little caution, and other than that, we had a clean race, and I'll see everybody next week.
All righty, James. Well, best of luck here to you with the practicing and getting ready for the next round. You have yourself a great rest of the night, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you here again.
10-4. Thank you, man. Bye.
Alrighty, folks, that was our third place finisher, James Skelton. Now we'll dial up our second place runner, that being the floor machine of Jeff Souza. Jeff, do you got a copy of Spread the Jet in the booth here?
Hi, Guy Brett. How we doing?
Not too bad, but I think you're doing a little bit better. Advancing to the next round, how you feeling and how much stress was out here tonight all race long?
Yeah, it was a stressful race. This track is kind of tricky, and that's on a normal, visible, easy visible way of track surface. I was practicing in 75 degrees and clear conditions, and I joined in the session, and I went, well, I think we're going to need rain tires tonight because of the fog. So that definitely changed up how I played out the race, but in the end, we ended up working some strategy there, and we're able to get the pace to finish up here in the top 3.
Yeah, definitely that. I gotta ask, I was wondering this all race long, with how dark it was out, did it really affect visibility here tonight?
For us in the car, visibility I don't think was that big of a deal. I didn't watch the broadcast yet, but I assume for you guys, some of them camera angles were probably a little iffy. The main thing that it really did was fuel mileage for us, because we were able to go probably, based on what I tested, we were running half a second faster almost. So I was estimating 29 to 30 for a run, and realistically in these conditions having a shift, we were only really able to make it about 27, 28. So that extra lap or so that we lost because of the conditions kind of played with my strategy a little bit, but we still ended up changing it up a little bit there. That first caution kind of gave us a little bit of a buffer to play a little different game than some of these guys, and ended up working out.
Yeah, that it did. I tell you what, I was really curious to see if you could hit that 33 mark on that first stop or a little bit after to try and make it a two-stop race. But like you said, the pace with saving that much fuel definitely wasn't an option.
No way. It was going to be very questionable in warm, hotter conditions with less humidity, but with this amount of humidity, the pace got extremely quick, and like I said, it just cut out probably 2 or 3 laps that we could have made if it wasn't like this. But we dealt with the conditions we had, and we got the best finish we could.
Yeah, and awesome stuff there. I gotta ask, how was it dealing with traffic? I mean, that final pit stop, you rolled onto the track, I believe, all the way back in P number 11, able to make all the way up to second by the end of it, if not the second to last stop, let's say. So, I mean, how was it navigating through traffic? And, I mean, even 2-lap newer tires seemed like it made a world of difference.
Yeah, tires were definitely helpful on the short run, a little bit more than I thought it was going to be. Traffic, it was tough. Definitely, not an easy track to pass that, especially in turn 1 there with the different banking. But I think if someone, a lot of these guys were courteous tonight, that if they realized you were that much faster, they kind of gave you enough room that you could get by them without having to rough anyone up. And obviously, only having that one caution very early for a person that just got sideways really showed that these guys are just very courteous and give each other room, that we don't have to worry about people dive bombing and door slamming each other.
Yep, like you said, some great racing throughout the field as well here tonight. And man, what a great race. Jeff, into the next round. I mean, how do you feel next gen at Richmond and then the Gen 4 at Las Vegas?
Yeah, I think those are 2 tracks that really benefit my driving style and my experience on the sim. Next gen is my bread and butter. That's the car I drive week in, week out in officials and in league racing. So going to a place like Richmond, where I ran a couple weeks ago and I was pretty good there in the next gen, I'm feeling like that's the punch the ticket to the Final 4 race for me. And then I think Vegas is going to be an extremely fast-paced and interesting race with how those cars drive with all the extra horsepower. So I'm looking forward to both of them, but definitely Richmond after the vacation or after the holiday next week will be the circled one for the Final Four, at least for me.
Oh yeah, I bet. And what a win that would be at that track. Take all the weight off your shoulders. Know you're going for a championship. Man, would be some awesome stuff. But Jeff, here tonight, second place for you. I'm sure there's got to be some people you got to give a shout out to, maybe either on the truck or watching at home, and of course as well as making it to the next round.
Yeah, I gotta just thank all the time Brandon, my spotter up there on the box, helping crunch the numbers and deciding if it was worth taking 2 or 4 there that last stop. Max on his dominant win. Obviously, nobody really had anything for him at all, 14, 15 seconds. So congrats to him on the win. James on his solid run up here in the top 3 after an incident early. And then everyone else at Sousa Media, Triad Racing, and Stant Analyzer for all they do, and you guys up in the booth, and all the admins that help put these races on, and all the guys that come out to make them fun, clean racing.
Alrighty, Jeff. Well, have yourself a great rest of the week. Go get some practice in, because I'm sure you got the next one circled at Richmond. Have yourself a great rest of the night, and I'm sure we're not done talking to you this season.
Sounds good, Brett. We'll hopefully be seeing you out at Richmond.
Alrighty, folks. That was Jeffrey Sousa finishing in the runner-up spot. Now we'll head down to Victory Lane and talk to the man of the hour. What a performance from the 42. It is Max Theriault. Max, do you got a copy of Brett the Jet in the booth here?
Hey, Brett.
How are we doing today, Max? It's another week of the Max podcast here after a red light race.
Yeah, I guess I couldn't ask for a better outcome to clinch for the second round.
Yeah, I tell you what, it like you said, the best possible outcome. You in your own zip code. I mean, making up a ton of time on that first pit stop cycle, and then on top of that, man, just absolutely blistering pace all night long. What was the secret? What were you doing? I sadly didn't ride on board with you, so I guess you can take whatever secrets you want to the grave.
Well, I really put in some practice on pit road entry. That's where I needed to work the most to gain a bit there. If I could gain half a second, maybe a second, it means a lot after the pit cycle on track position if cars are close. And then, of course, it was making sure that I stay clear of that wall off of turn 2. It comes up a bit faster than you'd expect, even though there's grip until the last moment where there isn't. And once I got a lead, I could be a bit more careful and stay off there.
Yeah, once again, bringing home a pristine race car here, not a scratch on that thing, and with the pace you're running, always very impressive. So, of course, into the round of 8, looking on ahead. I mean, what are you excited for in that round, and how you feeling about that? Because now it comes down to, who can be the best of the best.
Yeah, the round of 8 is definitely the one that the slightest mistake or poor result can knock you out. Even if you have one good race, it might not be enough to make it on points. And also 2 of the last 3 races, they're with the next gen car, so that'll be those that can wheel that car better than all the others so far. They have an advantage, and so for me, it hasn't been my best car, so I'll have to put in some practice. And running Richmond in the daytime, I know we've run there a lot at night, and probably drives a bit different, so we'll put in some practice with next week off. We'll take that advantage of that off weekend.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. Like you said, gonna have to bring your A game both weeks, as this kind of cutoff race, I said, was kind of the up in the air cutoff race. Any driver at any point, if they got in a wreck or, had to end their night early, they were on the outside looking in. But now the next round, I think we'll definitely see a lot tougher competition throughout the whole order. And like you said, have to put together 2 really good races. I mean, you weren't even locked in coming in here tonight with all your success you had in the regular season. How much pressure did you feel here?
My third place finish last week really helped. I didn't worry about fuel saving if that was a possibility. I just went out as fast as I could all race long, and like there's more room to play with after that first round, since the cutoff involves a lot more drivers, and then well, running 100 laps compared to what could have been our usual 90 made a difference. So went all out, all race, all night long, and that's couldn't ask for a better result.
Nope, you definitely could not have. As once again, Max down in victory lane here, 6th time this season. Of course, first playoff sticker for you. Man, oh man, awesome stuff. Well, I'm sure there's some people you got to thank for all of that success. So I'll hand over you the mic here, and you can thank who you got to thank.
Yeah, as always, my fiance, my friend Max, and my dad. Thanks to Turn 3 for the broadcast, Brett. Congrats to all the guys that make it to the top 8. It's tonight was probably a difficult one for a few that didn't end up the way they hoped for, so unfortunate for them, but some are winners, some are losers for that kind of playoff format, so you just do the best you can for the next 3 races. And also thanks to Josh, James, and Richard for running this Monday Night Scrambler series. And finally, Checkered Flag Auto Supply. Not enough support, not enough shout out for their support for both leagues. So big thanks to them. So yeah, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks, and we'll hope you guys have a good off weekend.
Yep, I hope you do as well, Max. Always a great time talking to you, and I'm sure you'll put that time to good use and see what kind of blistering pace you can set next week at Richmond. So, Max, have yourself a great off week, and we'll catch you in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you, Brett.
Have a good one. Alrighty, folks, that was Max Theriault picking up win number 6 of the season. Man, impressive stuff from the 42 camp this season, and gonna try and continue that in 2 weeks' time. All right, let's get things at least started to be wrapped on up here tonight as we throw up our race results. Max Theriault picking up the win. 2nd place going to Jeffrey Souza. Finishing 3rd will be James Skelton. 4th going to Zach Mitchell. Sean Single rounding out the top 5 here. Mike Trevarthen finishing 6th. 7th going to Ethan Troutman. 8th is Chris Hammett. 9th going to Ken Allen. Ryan O'Danny rounding out the top 10. Finishing 11th is Richard Murdoch. 12th going to Tony Strano. Then it is Brandon Feeney in the 13th position. 14th is Rob Higgins. Then 15th going to Bob Higgins. 16th will go to Josh Buckley. 17th Dalton Williamson. And 18th Tim Combs. I believe the top 8 here in the playoffs will be Chris Hammett, James Skelton, Max Theriault, Jeffrey Souza, Ethan Troutman, Zach Mitchell, Sean Single, and it's going to be very close between Richard Murdoch, Mike Trevarthen, and Tim Combs, as I believe it actually will go to the 2 machine of Mike Trevarthen. So I think that rounds out the top 10 in points, or the top 8, in points, and continuing to race for a championship. Well, want to give a shout out to all you guys still tuned on in here tonight, or if you tuned on in at any point here, you guys are awesome. Here, appreciate every time you stop on in and spend some time with me. So really do appreciate all you guys. Appreciate all the racers out here to put on the show for us to enjoy. And then, of course, to make those racers happen, we got to thank some sponsors. Those being Checkered Flag Auto Supply here, title sponsor, doing awesome stuff. Cannot thank them enough. Then we have the the Celeratus Legal. Then we have the Feeney Call, and then of course as well as Claws Up Charters. I've been Brett the Jet in the booth here with Turn 3 Racing Network. Be sure to check out Turn 3 throughout the week. Like Roger was kind of saying Thursday night with these guys with the short track Scrambler series. Currently, I believe they're on their off season, but be sure to stay tuned for when they fire that back on up. And of course, we have other great broadcasters, other great racing action to be watched. Also, with Turn 3, we have partnered up with Premier Setups. That is right, partnered up with a setup shop. But at least, if you'd be so kind, show your support to Turn 3 and at least click the link in the broadcast description down there. It would be very helpful just to continue to see traffic heading there from our way. Once again, everyone, have a great 2 weeks and holiday weekend next week. We will be back in 2 weeks for Richmond. You won't want to miss that. Round 8 begins right there. So I've been Brett the Jet in the booth. Everyone take care, stay safe, and I just flew by you. Have a good one.